Hello, everybody. Welcome to week 5 of the Most Accurate Podcast. I am your host, Jennifer Akins. With me, as always, my co-host, Justin Edwards. How you doing today, Mr. Edwards?
Good week 4. Dropped down in SFB a little bit, but I'm still in the top 100, so that's sweet. You know,
That's
bets hit. DFS did not.
I actually
That's
don't
per
play.
usual.
Yeah, I don't play DFS anymore. I just bet, but I didn't even bet this weekend because I lost a little bit in college football on Saturday and was a little upset and hungover after the Georgia game. Not hungover like drink wise, hungover just annoyance wise. Emotionally hungover, yes. And I just didn't feel like betting on Sunday, so I saved myself some money there. But yeah, it was a good week for fantasy. I know a lot of people it was not. It's a crazy week. I think every year we kind of just forget. I mean, we don't really forget, but we kind of forget the injury situation. And then as it starts to pile up every week, when we're entering random names into our rosters and whatnot.
Right. Guys we didn't even know existed a month ago.
I mean, and that's kind of, I write our stash article, which came out this morning. And it's like, I find myself, I'm like, I've never heard that name. Who's that? Like, I get excited by finding like a random person that had like 4 targets out of nowhere. Like,
right.
Who are they? What's their situation? But anyway,
we're in the league for 4 years. How's that possible?
Right. Oh, I know. Right. They're like, well, they've been on 3 practice squads and maybe a special teams, but all of a sudden they're the wide receiver 3 for whatever team. All right. So we're going to get into this is our weekly streaming show. We're going to get into all 4 of the streamable positions: quarterback, tight end, kicker, and defense. First, though, we're going to do a little recap of last week's streaming. I will start here with quarterback. Not a bad week for quarterback, I will say. I had 3 recommendations last week, which were Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones, and Andy Dalton. Sam Darnold was the QB9 with 20.5 fantasy points. Andy Dalton was the QB 13, so right outside QB1 territory at 15.7. And then Daniel Jones was QB 24 at 9.4, which is really what we expected. I mean, it was a recommendation, not that he was going to light up the scoreboard and all of a sudden be a top 5 QB, but he was someone to stick in your lineup. So I don't hate those quarterback recommendations. If you went with them, hopefully you did all right. Justin, how did your tight ends pan out?
Pretty good. We listed I can count 5 of them last week. Pretty nice. After the first couple weeks of the season, it was looking grim. We were hardly getting 5 points out of more than like 7 or 8 guys. We went with Tyler Conklin up top. He was the tight end 23. The Jets offense in general just looked pretty awful. Cole Kmet was the tight end 18 with 4.9 points. Not great. But then we get into some better calls. Cade Otton was the tight end 10 as he continues to get a ton of targets over these last couple of weeks. We'll talk about him a little. We're going to talk about pretty much all these guys a little later as the streaming scope starts to, get a little slimmer and we know who's actually getting the ball. But yeah, we'll talk about a lot of these guys later. Zach Ertz was the tight end 16 as he proves that he's got a great floor and absolutely no ceiling. And our bonus pick was Tucker Kraft, and he was the tight end 2 on the week. So I'm glad that we stuck him in there. Hopefully someone was super desperate and grabbed Kraft when he was like 3% rostered and got the tight end 2 performance out of him.
Yeah, I to make it about me, since everyone loves when people talk about their own fantasy teams. I actually drafted Tucker Kraft as my tight end 2 in a guillotine league, which starts out with 18 teams, so it's a lot deeper.
Right.
And he's now my starter. I can't even remember who my tight end 1 was, but he's no longer on my roster, whoever it was. And I have Kraft rocking, and he crushed it. I mean, he was the tight end 1 or whatever. So anyway, yeah. All right, so not a bad week for tight ends from your side. Kicker, on the other hand, was not good at all.
Narved.
Oh, we got narved. We got a lot of it was a rough week for kicker. And listen, it happens every now and then. But the best kicker on this stream that we talked about was Jake Bates and Cairo Santos tied for kicker 18. That's how bad it was. They were my best recs. Braden Arvison was kicker 29, and Matt Prater was kicker 31. If you do read the kicker streaming column, I did have Austin Seibert, who was kicker 9. So he didn't make it on the show, but he was in the article. And he at least pulled out a fantasy kicker 1 performance for me. So he's a little bit redeeming there. But yeah, you know what happens. Let's go
Right.
to defenses real quick. What do you got?
Same thing with last week. We got 2 clunkers and 2 really good performances. We had the Dolphins versus the Titans. That game was a slog. From what I caught, I was not going to watch that entire game all the way through. But they only scored 2 points. They were the defense 28. But we did also tout the Titans on the other side of the ball. They were the defense 6 with 10 fantasy points. We had the Rams versus the Bears. The Bears kind of changed their approach to a huge underneath passing attack. So a lot less room for errant throws from Caleb Williams. So the Rams only scored 3 points. And then we had the Raiders versus the Browns. And the Browns are proving that if you have a defense that you can stream against them, you probably just should. The Raiders scored 9 fantasy points as the defense 8.
All right, that's not too bad. I will say this: thanks to the YouTube TV multi-view, I actually watched both games simultaneously last night.
Oh, okay.
Fantastic.
All right.
They have it like they're literally next to each other, and you can just toggle the audio. So I did watch that. I am, a Dolphin fan, and I had Tyler Huntley going in a league, so I did care more than probably most. But yes, you're right; it was ugly. And had I not had any stake in the game, I would have definitely turned that off. Not a pretty one. All right, we're gonna turn the page now. As our I was gonna say our friend Bill Belichick. I don't know why I was gonna say that because he is certainly not our friend. But as he says,
Cincinnati.
On to Cincinnati. But we are going to move on. Before we go on to week 5, we of course have to do our weird sport of the week. We should get sponsored. I don't know. Yeah, we should get a sponsor for our weird sport of the week. This week it is lawnmower racing. It's a thing. Like all these weird sports, not all, but most, they enter the world via a pub, a drinking situation, right? This one in 1973. Jackie Stewart was winning his 3rd F1 title, and a group of wannabe racers from West Sussex dreamed of making the whole situation more accessible to the masses. So they came up with lawnmower racing. I mean, it now has a governing body in the UK, which is called the British Lawnmower Racing Association. It has a 30 race championship that runs from May to October. It's also in the US. I found it's in a lot of different places. Basically, it's a mix of go-karting and motocross on a lawnmower. It's got an 800-foot track around, and they go about 30 to 40 miles per hour. I don't hate it. I mean, as
sounds
someone, I mean, I don't know if I have the balls to do legit motocross. But I'd get on a lawnmower and go around a track full speed. I do love a go-kart, so I don't know why I wouldn't enjoy that. I may have to look into the local precinct here and see if I can get involved in some lawnmower racing.
So there is a National Lawnmower Racing Hall of Fame, I've found out, and it's in Marion, Ohio, which is not very far from here. So
of course it is. Why would
I have to go check it out? Right, we don't have a lot to do in Ohio,
Of course it's in Ohio. Yeah, you should check it out for a segment for TMAP. We'll film it.
Right.
And get yourself on a lawnmower and just enter the random, enter a race one week cold turkey.
Right.
And just step up and do it.
I have to start a fantasy lawnmower league.
That's a whole other thing. I love it. All right. So that is lawnmower racing. Before we move on to the streamers, I guess let's take a question or two since there are people waiting.
How about
let's see. Craigslist user. First we have Krakatoa who says good afternoon. I love that name. I haven't heard that word since like high school. But yeah, I like the name. Anyway, all right. Craigslist user 12. 10 team, half PPR, 2 flex. Start Hertz, Hall, Connor, Mason, Etienne, Lamb, London, Ferguson, Bench, JMO, Allen, Love. Use number 2 priority for Worthy, Pittman, Wicks, someone else, or save. Also trade Etienne for Olave. All right.
You should absolutely trade Travis Etienne for Olave.
Yeah, I would do that as well.
First things first.
I would, yes, if that's an option for you. Let's see. Your receivers are Lamb, London, Pittman. Or no, Pittman is an option. Oh, you have JMO. Okay. Yeah. I would trade Etienne for Olave. Yes.
Yeah. And you have James Conner, Breece Hall, and Jordan Mason.
Yeah.
That's plenty of firepower there. In which case you don't really have to use this waiver priority on a receiver. I'd probably take Worthy over Wicks. But I mean, you're kind of set already. This is a very good team.
Yeah, no, you're good. I mean, I think if you make that trade, you just sit put with that priority and save it for
Yeah,
if you
honestly.
for I assume you're going to have a bye week issue coming up because we all do at
Right.
some point. So, yeah, I like that. Okay. We'll do one more and then we'll roll into streamers here. Trade Hall and Hubbard. This is Stephen Smith. Trade Hall and Hubbard for Henry and Demont.
Brees Hall, Chuba Hubbard. Yeah, I mean Hubbard's role is going to begin decreasing here in a couple weeks.
I mean, you got Derrick Henry. Like, I would trade for him no matter who else is really in the equation.
Right, you get Henry and Demont, you're averaging
Yeah,
like 1.8 rushing touchdowns a week.
yeah, exactly. I mean, Monty is off this week, but whatever. I think that, yeah.
Braylon
And
Allen's role is not slowing down either for Brees.
right, and you have Jonathan Brooks on the horizon for
Yeah,
Hubbard.
yeah,
So
I would do this
to me,
trade for sure.
that's a yes. So you got 2 yeses there. All right, let's move on to streaming. Let's get through some quarterbacks. Not a great week for quarterbacks. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
It's pretty gross. You've got one decent option, one and then 2 pretty gross ones, and that's it. So we'll start with the best option, and I can't. It's so weird that we're even saying this, but Justin Fields is the best option at quarterback. He is playing Dallas at home this week, and he is 32% rostered. At this point, we have to assume that Russell Wilson is not getting his job back.
Right.
Justin Fields was the QB1 last week, and he's QB6 on the season. The Cowboys are 18th in adjusted fantasy points allowed. They're allowing 16.3 fantasy points per game to quarterbacks. And Fields is also averaging 36 rushing yards a game. So based on kind of what we have as far as we keep our rostership under 40% on Yahoo for these streamers, he's the best guy for the job. But, basically best rostership, best matchup, best situation. So Fields is far and away the best option. The second one is rough because I don't love recommending Deshaun Watson for anything, and I hate that I have to do this. I've tried really hard not to in my professional career. Here we are. I have to put it aside, and we have to recommend him. He really has not been great, but he's playing Washington at home. He is 22% rostered. He has not thrown more. He hasn't gotten to the 200-yard passing mark yet this season per game once. But he's averaging 13.7 fantasy points a game thanks to an additional 117 yards on the ground for him. The Commanders are 30th in adjusted fantasy points allowed. They're allowing 20.4 to opposing quarterbacks. So he's a guy, and he's there, and he's getting a little better. If you need him, he is an option. Like I said, I don't love it, but if you're in a desperate situation, if you're missing someone on a bye, someone's hurt, he is the second best option. I do have 2 others that are super gross, but I have to give them just because, everyone has different leagues, and these guys may be taken. I mean, I would assume there's a lot of people quarterback hoarding right now around the fantasy world. So the next one I have is Andy Dalton. He's in Chicago. It is not a good matchup at all. The Bears are 3rd against quarterbacks right now this season. And he's only 14% rostered, but he's in and he's playing all right, and he's got some weapons. So if you're desperate, don't expect much. Like I said, it's not a good matchup, but he is there. He's available. The fourth option is gross as well, and that is Tyler Huntley in New England. Once again, not a good matchup at all. I mean, New England is 11th against the quarterback. They're not like as stout per se, but they're still pretty tough against the quarterback. Tyler Huntley only threw for 96 yards last night, but he did run for 40. So,
right.
He's going to use his legs and get you some points, and he may. I mean, we have to understand he was kind of thrown in very early last night. Hopefully he has another week knowing he's a starter, practicing as the first team guy. He'll learn more about the cadence, all the stuff that he needs to learn. And if he improves just a little bit, he could be a decent fill-in. So there's your 4. You have it. You got Fields, Watson, Dalton, and Huntley. Hold your nose, grab one, throw them out there.
Right. If Huntley's running 7 to 10 times a game,
Yeah, I mean
he's already got a floor.
Exactly. He's not the worst option out there. I considered Bo Nix for about 30 seconds. There's some grosser options.
But that is pretty gross.
It's gross. But so those are the 4. Justin, you have anything to say about my 4 choices there?
No, it's a very good list. Good choices. Look,
It's a list.
we got to talk about dudes who run the ball as quarterbacks and can find the end zone for that 6 points. Especially,
I mean
so
that's
many leagues
kind of
being 4 points for a passing touchdown. If you got a
yeah.
guy who can follow his way into the end zone, you literally have to consider him.
You do it, especially with the climate out there and what we're dealing with. You'd rather have someone like that than, like we said, a Bo Nix who's really not going to do much for you, and you have to hope something happens there.
Right.
All right, let's grab a question or two before we move on to tight end.
Sure.
Craigslist user likes the service, and you're very welcome, Craigslist user.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, DDURZ. I need help. Should I accept Deontay for miss and pay Freiermuth? I
Miss.
don't. Do you understand what that means?
I don't know who Miss is. For something in Pat Freiermuth. No, you shouldn't.
And pay Freiermuth.
Oh, wait, to accept Deontay?
Pat. Okay, that's probably Pat Freiermuth.
But
I don't know what Miss is, though. Yeah.
Whatever side of this is, just take Deontay Johnson for whatever.
Yeah. Agreed. Okay, what else we got here? William is just leaving the tight end spot empty.
That's acceptable.
That's a strategy.
Yeah.
At this point, you're going to do the same as Mark Andrews and Kyle Pitts did last week if you do that. So
right.
It's not the worst strategy out there at this point. All right, let's do one more. T. Higgins or Xavier Worthy for week 5? Let me see. I don't even know
who are they playing.
Let's
I like
see
to think
here.
I have the schedule memorized, but
okay. So the oh, I'm looking on the wrong thing. So
the Bengals got the Ravens, and the Chiefs have the Saints.
Ooh,
I'm probably leaning T. Higgins as a homer.
Yeah, you're a homer. I think Worthy. I think with Rice out, I think I may lean Worthy. The problem is we don't know where that's all going to go. I mean, for all we know, it's going to be Juju Smith-Schuster, and everyone's going to be so frustrated.
Oh, it is. It's 100% going to be Juju, and we're going to hate it.
Yeah, and everyone's going to hate it. But at the same time, I think Worthy has shown enough that I think he will get. I would think the first looks for some of those Ray Rice plays. But so that's fair. I guess
I'll lean towards Worthy.
But we don't hate Higgins, obviously. So,
right.
I think you're all right with either one. Okay. Let's move on to the tight end position.
Yeah.
Are we looking good here for tight ends in week 5, or are we looking?
We're looking pretty good. We have some flavors for all sorts of palates here. A lot of these guys are very similar to what we talked about last week, but that's just kind of what happens. Once we get into the thick of it, this happens every year. We get into the thick of it. We start finding guys who are consistent. They end up getting rostered in 50 or 60% of leagues, and then we can't talk about them anymore. So we got to find new guys. But this is a very similar list to last week. They came through in what we thought was going to be increased roles, and so we're going to kind of stick with them. I got Tucker Kraft right off the bat here. He has where is it? Yeah, he has an 83.9% raw participation last week. That was the 3rd highest mark across the league. Luke Musgrave seems like he might still be dealing with things, or maybe they just are going to use him as a rotational tight end, which is interesting for anyone who took Luke Musgrave in drafts a couple of months ago. You're kind of just screwed at this point. But Kraft has the Rams this week. They are 23rd in schedule adjusted fantasy points allowed to the position. Kraft found the end zone and subsequently got the 2-point conversion after his touchdown. That's obviously not something we can bank on, but the fact that
they're love an octopus, though, you gotta love
it. Oh yeah, exactly. Right. Who doesn't love an octopus in the fantasy box score? So Kraft has a good matchup. He is available in almost every single league, 95% free in Yahoo League. So get you some Tucker Kraft. Zach Ertz, another guy that's on the field a ton, and he's getting usage. How much usage is not exceptional. He's mostly running hitch routes and is the safety valve for rookie Jaden Daniels. He has at least 3 catches in every game, but his longest catch was 21 yards, and that was 2 weeks ago. So he's not this seam stretcher anymore, but he's going to provide a floor to avoid the proverbial goose egg at the tight end spot. So Ertz is interesting, but the ceiling is not there. Someone who does have a ceiling and a very low floor is Tyler Conklin. We saw the Jets kind of implode last week. I think that they will probably see them implode quite a few times, and it could come again against a very stout Vikings defense. But the Vikings do rank 31st. So they're not the worst team. They're almost the worst team in the league against the tight end position as they clamp down wide receivers. So it could be another bad day for Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson, maybe Mike Williams. But Tyler Conklin should have a pretty easy matchup here. He's a guy that can score you 1 or 18 points. So if you're looking for a little more volatility than, Zach Ertz 5 points that he's going to get every single week, Conklin is a good option. I do want to throw out Taysom Hill. He's dealing with a rib injury on the other side of his body from his bruised lungs that he received in week 2. The guy's just getting demolished out there. But he is the goal line package for New Orleans. Those 2 rushing touchdowns, both of which came by like the middle of the second quarter, if I recall correctly. Taysom Hill is rostered in 39% of Yahoo leagues, so he kind of squeezes in here. I wouldn't bet on Taysom Hill being ready for week 5, but if you've already got another option and you just want to add someone in case he is fully healthy by the Friday injury report, Taysom Hill is your guy. So we got Tucker Kraft, Zach Ertz, Tyler Conklin, Taysom Hill. Those are our tight end streamers for week 5.
I like it. Taysom Hill is he's rough. Like he's one of those guys that is either going to he's going to score 2 touchdowns or he's going to get you a 0. And it's like
100%.
You have to decide if it's worth the mental gymnastics of dealing with that every week. And it probably is right now, considering where tight end is. If you're gonna get a goose egg anyway, you might as well roll the dice and hope you get one of those 3 touchdown weeks out of him. But listen, at least there's options for those of us that are dealing with Mark Andrews, Kyle Pitts, all of that. I don't know if you're going to sit one of those guys for one of the ones you just mentioned, but we have options. I mean, I'm in a league right now that I have Mark Andrews and I have Colby Parkinson on my bench, and I almost did it this week, and I would have gotten 6 more points than I got had I done it. We'll see. I don't know if I'll actually pull the trigger this week, but I think I may. Andrews is one of those, and I'm sure that we're going to get a lot of questions. Maybe not in this specific format, but overall, should I drop Andrews? Should I drop Andrews at this point? Sure. I mean, he had 1 target and he dropped. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. Like he obviously has some sort of yips, right? He had 1 target and he was wide open and he just
he hit him directly in the hands.
Yeah.
Both hands.
And there was not anyone coming up on his back. There was nobody right there. He just dropped it. And I think he's so in his head after not having anything this season that he yipped it up. So we'll see what happens there. All right, let's take some questions before we move on to kicker.
Yeah.
Where are we? I think we're at Jonathan Santiago.
Jonathan.
Trade Stroud, Bowers, and Javonte for AJ Brown and Jacobs. I have Love and McBride already.
Ugh. I am not trying to trade for Javonte Williams in almost any scenario. I mean, it'd be nice to have
trading
AJ
them
Brown.
Away, I believe.
Trade Stroud,
Bowers, and Javonte for AJ Brown and Jacobs.
Oh,
but I'm not trying to trade for Jacobs either, so I don't know. That's a tough one.
Yeah, they have Trey McBride and
Love.
Brock Bowers, so that is kind of annoying for the lineup setting.
Right.
I mean, Love is close enough to Stroud that you're not losing that much there. McBride is close enough to Bowers that you're not losing that much. Yeah, I guess go for it because you're getting AJ Brown and Josh Jacobs for Javonte Williams.
Yeah,
since you already have Love and McBride.
Yeah, I mean, you have McBride is dealing with an injury. AJ Brown is dealing with an injury. Stroud, Bauer, and Love is coming off an injury. Bowers is healthy. Javonte is kind of a wash, but yeah, I don't hate it. If you don't hate it, I mean, I think it's
go for it.
Yeah,
that's a lot of Packers on your team. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. All right. Hello, Albert. Let's
Hi,
do
Albert.
one. Let's do one more question here from Jesse Driscoll. All
You're
right.
welcome, Jesse.
Yes, you are welcome, Jesse. I don't know if Jesse's a male or female, so they have Mason. Should I be targeting CMC or do you think he's going to be a season ender? Rest of
It's not looking
season,
great.
Achan or Hill? Yeah, CMC not looking great. Seeing specialist, Achilles tendonitis in both legs.
I would
I
just
don't.
ride with Mason unless someone put CMC on the waiver wire. But I
Right. I
don't know
mean,
that I would be
right.
trading for CMC right
I
now.
mean, you can
It's
trade
getting
for
worse by the week.
CMC if it's like if you're giving up someone that you're not starting. I mean, I wouldn't
Sure.
trade up anybody that you
If you
need.
can trade
Basically,
Javonte Williams for
I was
CMC,
I
by
was
all means.
literally about to say the same
Oh,
thing.
really? Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, 100% do that. If you can trade an RB3 for
yeah.
CMC, sure, but don't trade like Jordan Mason for Christian
No,
McCaffrey.
no, I would hang on to Mason. And then as far as rest of season, Achan or Hill,
Oh man, good question.
I don't know. Are you talking Tyreek
Yeah.
or
I mean,
Justice?
Achan.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
What's
I,
the realistic timeline for Tua? He can return by week 7, is that correct?
I think it's 8, but let me do a quick
Okay.
look. Just so we don't.
Like Tyreek Hill needs
Yes,
Tua, and I don't know that Achan
he does.
needs
All
Tua
right, he
quite
can.
as
Yeah, so
much.
he can return in week 8. Is his first time. I think, like we just talked about a few minutes ago, I think Tyler Huntley will improve from last night's performance. He's not
Right.
going to be the same as Tua, and you're not going to get the same. But Hill almost had a big touchdown last night that would have changed a lot of
Oh yeah, he
things.
did. That's right. Missed him
Yeah,
by
so I
like a
feel like
yard.
they're kind of close. Like Hill's not someone that you should get rid of. So I
No,
mean,
no,
I guess
no.
between the two,
I mean, he
I
needs
don't
to
know.
stay in your starting lineup.
I'm just curious. Like, I know you didn't watch the game. There was a lot of Jalen Wright last night. I don't know what.
Oh yeah.
There was a lot. So I don't know if Achan is being. I don't know if they're just not using him as much because he was nursing something or not.
That game
But
script was awful too. I wonder if they were like, look,
I think Mike
we're,
McDaniel was just like, I'm done, throwing my
right.
hands up right away, and just. I mean,
Let's
every
get this
time
guy some looks and save Achan.
yeah, and every time they panned to him, the frustration level on his face, it was just. And I didn't realize it. I found out this morning while doing research for something else that they have the least amount of points in the league, the Dolphins, this season, and I did not
Whoa.
realize that. Yeah,
I didn't realize that
they are
either.
32nd in points scored, right behind the Patriots. So
Were you looking up Jason Sanders as a streaming option?
no, I was. I think he's too rostered actually. No,
Oh yeah, that's right.
I was looking up something for the Patriots. I was looking. You know what it was? I was adding Drake May to my stash report, and I was using that as a point, and that they're second to last in points, and they might as well just throw him in there. They're not scoring points, and they're not doing anything. So that's where yeah. And I noticed the Dolphins were 32nd. So anyway, to answer your question, I would go Hill, I guess, over the two, but no, yeah. So I don't know. Do you have a major thought on that? I know we digress a little bit.
I'm kind of on the Achan side, but
okay.
I mean, I don't know. I was sitting here saying that Hill needs Tua, and then we look at like Achan's numbers last night. And it's like, well, maybe everyone needs Tua.
They do, and like we said, he can come back as early as week 8. I mean,
we'll see.
I mean, he seems, if it were up to him, he'd be out there right now, right? Which we all know is not a good thing for his health. A lot of people are calling for him to not come back at all. But the way it's going, I think they're going to do everything they can, or he's going to do everything he can to get it back out there and all of that. Right. So hopefully both those guys, Achan and Hill, are not a wash for the season. We can't have that. All right, let's roll on to kicker before we get back to your guys' questions. Kicker is okay this week. Like I said, we're coming off a bad week from streaming, so we do need to bounce back a little bit. First guy I have for us is Austin Seibert, who I mentioned was the lone kicker last week in my article that did well. He has a really good matchup this week against the Browns, and he is only 2% rostered. So the Commanders are at home against the Browns. Right now, Austin Seibert, since joining the Commanders in week 2, is averaging 13 fantasy points a contest. I mean, that's exactly what you want out of your kicker. Right. They are a home favorite this week by 3.5 points, and they have a 24-point team total heading into this week. So he's my number one option. He's free in 98% of Yahoo leagues, so he's likely there for you. The second guy I have this week is Jason Myers. He is at home against the Giants. They're coming off a pretty rough loss last night to the Lions, but they will be at home. They're 6-point favorites against the Giants, and they have a 24-point team total. And Myers is only rostered in 11% of leagues, so he's had a pretty good season so far. He's been a little up and down, but so has the Seattle offense, so it makes sense. But he's a decent option this week there as my second one. My third guy is kind of a like uncle. I give up. Chris Boswell. I mean, the guy is kicker 2 on the season. He has 49 fantasy points after 4 weeks. Like, I give up. He's in, right?
He's not scoring touchdowns. Just only kick.
Exactly. So they're at home against the Cowboys, which they are favored. The Steelers are favored by 2.5 points at the moment. It may flip. We'll see. It's only Tuesday, but at the moment they are 2.5-point favorites with a 22.75 team total. Boswell is 34% rostered, so he's kind of close to the streaming line, but he still absolutely counts. We have a 6% window there, so he counts. I'm putting him in. Here he is. What?
That's not cheating.
Oh no, it's absolutely
you got under no.
He's absolutely he's legal. I've avoided him all year because it just doesn't look good on the process that I use per se. But like I said, I give in. He's here, so he's my third option. I did bring a bonus. We're back with the Narv this week. We're back with Braden. We're back with Braden Narvison. He's leaving the Geek Squad desk to kick this week. He's on the road though against the Rams. They are 8%, or he is 8% rostered, so he's good in those larger leagues. He did not have a good week last week, but they were behind for the first quarter, and then so. Right now, the Packers are 3.5-point favorites in that one with a 25.75 team total. So there's 4 kickers. Quick wrap up: Austin Seibert, Jason Myers, Chris Boswell, and your bonus is the Narv. There you go.
Narv dog.
The Narv dog, which I don't know. That's new this week. That's Justin's name for him. We'll see if it sticks. All right, let's move on to Denny here. Would y'all do Dobbins and JMO for Achane? 4-0 currently, and I was starting Dobbins.
Dang, I love JMO.
Yeah, I wouldn't give up. I mean, I think Dobbins is going to peter out a little bit, even though they are going to continue to run the ball, right? But I feel like there's, I actually put Hassan Haskins and Kamani Vidal in my stash article because I do feel like those guys will be coming up here soon. But JMO is, I mean, I don't know that I'd get rid of him for Achane.
If you have a really strong receiving core, I think this is a fine trade. You do avoid the Chargers bye week, which is kind of nice.
Which is this week, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're 4-0, so clearly you have other good components on your roster. So
I hate to get rid of JMO in any situation, but I think it's probably fine if the rest of your receiving core is nice.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we're back to Jesse. Also, I have the Niners D. They set and forget. Packers, Bears, Saints, and Bills are all on waivers. I drafted the Niners D not as a set and forget, and I've been setting and forgetting every week. Yeah. I'm like, I go to look at the waiver wire. I'm like, why am I doing this? There's need.
They're playing the Cardinals, which isn't, the greatest matchup, but I'm not benching them in that matchup.
Yeah, I
don't know of an offense that I would be benching them. They play the Seahawks the week after that. I'm fine with playing them against the Seahawks. They do play the Chiefs in week 7. That's not great, but also the Chiefs don't have any wide receivers left, so maybe it won't be that bad.
Yeah, but they still find a way to win. I think, we're obviously big proponents of streaming as we write the articles and we have a podcast about it. But in this situation, I would just hang with the Niners D, at least like Justin said, until week 7, and then you can reevaluate if there's somebody else there that you want that week. Did we go over Trey Sermon as a Taylor replacement? We did not, because we don't talk about running backs on this show unless someone asks. So we will talk about him now if you would like.
The last I saw, it didn't seem like he was going to be missing, right?
Yeah, I think he just has like a sprained ankle, but I think he's going to be all right.
Sermon's a totally fine stash. If you got room, or you got someone if you got like 2 defenses or whatever, kick one of them to the curb and grab Trey Sermon and see how this week progresses. I don't think Taylor's supposed to miss any time, but I could be incorrect.
Yeah, I think I agree with Justin. I think he's a good stash in case he does play and re-aggravate or something like that, and then you already have Sermon ready to rock. But like we said, unless he misses time, he's not a must grab. He's just kind of a stash.
Yeah.
All right, let's. You want to move on to defenses?
Yeah. We got 4 defenses on this day. I almost said tonight. It is not nighttime at all. It's been raining for a few days. My internal clock is off. So we have 4 defenses today in the middle of the day, not nighttime, even a little bit. The first recommendation is the Broncos, I was surprised looking into this. I'm like, oh, they have to be way too rostered. They're 18% rostered. I mean, they've looked really good just as a unit all season long. They get the Raiders and Gardner Minshew, who is coming off of like a 57% completion rate performance. People mumbling about Aiden O'Connell like that's going to make any sort of a difference. Devontae Adams might miss again, so we're looking at like wide receiver 1 Trey Tucker. Zamir White is a top 75 running back in the league, so they only have to mess with that. The Broncos seem like maybe the highest floor defense of the streaming selections on this day. Next, we have the Seahawks, who are 28% rostered against the Giants and Daniel Jones. Though we do love Daniel Jones from time to time as a streamer, he is he has a pretty brutal pressure. A pretty brutal pressure to sack rate over his career. They're a good bet to get a couple of sacks there, if not a handful. And Daniel Jones can be a turnover machine from time to time. As a deeper play or a defense that is literally available in every league except for whoever just heard me say that, who was going to look and see that they're not available in their league. The Commanders are 1% rostered. Pretty brutal defense. Secondary is very, very soft. They've been eaten alive by passing attacks all season long. But we know that Deshaun Watson might not be a professional quarterback anymore. He's liable to take 3 to 7 sacks on any given Sunday. And if they bench him, Jameis Winston is throwing like 2 pick sixes. So, the Commanders, stick him out there if you are unable to get any of the rest of these guys. And the last one I had here, which is like brutally out of order, the Packers defense is 31% rostered. Rams team that look like they will once again be without Kupp and Puka. Offensive line that is reeling from injuries. They got a couple guys back, but not so much. Packers are a good bet. They've had I should have this pulled up. They have like 11 takeaways through 4 games, which is insane. So we might as well ride that hot hand if you're not into any of these other guys. So our defensive streamers for the week are the Broncos at 18% rostered, the Seahawks at 28%, the Commanders are free everywhere, and the Packers at 31% rostered.
Yeah, I was actually surprised about the Broncos as well.
Right.
I know last night, my husband, we were sitting on the couch watching the game, and he was like trying to get a head start on the waivers, and he's like, "Yeah, the Broncos are here, and they're I forget whatever 18%." I was definitely shocked because the Broncos are pretty solid in every category there,
right.
Fantasy point wise. So I think people are just kind of, I don't know what people are doing, but agreed. That was the only one that really shocked me there. But
I'm gonna pop this up real quick just because it falls in line. The Bears defense is 62% on Yahoo, so that's why I didn't consider them. But yeah, against Carolina, that's totally feasible. If they're only 36% on Sleeper, by all means. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I wasn't saying anything important. That's really surprising. That
I know
it's
double on Yahoo. That's weird. Must be a lot of Bears fans in Yahoo leagues.
Yeah, I mean, usually it's the other way around. Like Sleeper have kind of more sharper players.
Yeah.
Than Yahoo. So that is surprising. All right, we've done our streaming. Let's go over some questions here.
Yeah.
All right, Michael Quenzel. Hello, Michael. 0-4 start in FFPC Pro Champ.
Oh,
boo.
Terrible feeling.
Yeah. Gibbs on a bye. Need RB help. I have 648 fab left. Options are Sermon, Zeke, Foreman. How much fab would you bid on these options?
Man, as a 1 week start, all those guys are kind of brutal. I'd At least for the long term, I feel like I would put it Sermon, Foreman, Zeke. Zeke's like a fullback at this point. But like, I don't want to start any of them. I guess I'd prefer to start Foreman this week in that group. Do you agree? Unless Taylor's out. If Jonathan Taylor misses, then of course
if
it's
he
Sermon,
misses,
but
then yes, I think Sermon is your guy. I mean, Foreman. I mean, they're playing the Commanders.
Look, we can't have Michael going 0-5 though. So
No, we
how much
can't.
fab? Like all of it. Who cares? If you go 0-5, that
I mean, the
fab isn't going to
Commanders.
make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, the Commanders are 27th against running backs, so you've got
Okay,
a
so maybe
decent
it is
shot
Foreman.
there.
And then how much? I mean, put 150 on Foreman. If you have to have him to start, like, who cares
Well,
about
right. If you don't have
the
like, we
free
don't
agent
know who.
budget?
Yeah, we don't know who your other running backs are. With Gibbs on a bye, if whoever this is going in, then yeah. I mean, I wouldn't spend too much though. I'm a little more conservative than Justin.
I'm kind of a spaz when it comes to fab.
Yeah, I'm not. Well, it
The
depends
quicker I
on.
use it, the less I have to pay attention to the waiver wire.
Yeah, but then you get screwed later on with
I
buys and
know, you're
stuff, and
right.
we don't want Justin to be screwed in a couple weeks and have no money to spend. I mean, I guess it depends on your league mates, right? If people are in similar positions, if everyone's
Sure.
going to be clamoring for these three guys, then yeah, I guess you can throw like $100, but I'd be under 100 for me at least. I'd be in the 60 to 80 range, but that's, like I said, I'm more conservative. So, and I get that you're 0-4, so you might want to throw more at it.
Yeah, I feel like if we're betting on who is going to score more than 1 point, it's Deontay Foreman. But I
Yeah.
mean, Sermon probably has the best upside of the three if JT were to miss this game.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's tough because I assume, I don't know, FFPC, are there waivers? Is it like in the middle of the night tonight? Or do you get an extra day of practice to see?
No, it's Wednesday. I think it's either 10 a.m. or noon, I feel like.
Okay, so maybe we can get a little bit more information on Taylor before he bids. But yeah, sorry, we don't have like any concrete answers for you, but that's at least our thoughts.
You get at least one more practice today to see if anything happens to JT.
Yeah. Yep, because basically, yeah, like we said, if JT is limited at all, or looks like he's not going to play, then go Sermon. If not, then we think Foreman. Okay. We're back to Jesse here. Tucker or Kincaid rest of season? Kincaid for me. Kincaid. I mean, I like Tucker, but rest of season, I think if you have Kincaid, yeah, I think he's who you roll with. Yeah. All right. Michael's asking Kraft or Otten.
PPR standard league.
Those you can't have both, Michael.
I'm gonna guess it's a PPR league.
Yeah.
Man,
that's Kraft. Eileen Kraft. Yeah. All right.
Let's go Kraft.
Okay. Let's see.
All right. How about Rob?
Start Prescott or Darnold. Could pick up Fields, but the other two are better rest of season. Yes, I would think the other two are better rest of season.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
let's see.
You have to go Prescott, but I don't know. Maybe you don't have to. They're getting Hawkinson back in a couple of weeks.
They are.
What if Sam Darnold's just the just the QB4 for the rest of the year?
Well, I think he's just asking this week for Prescott or Darnold, and then also he could pick up, but the other two are better. So I think he has both. Would be my guess. Let's see. Prescott has the Steelers in Pittsburgh, which is not fantastic.
Not great.
And Darnold, who does Minnesota play?
We've already mentioned it like 3 times, and now I forget.
We have?
Oh, the Jets. They both have crappy matchups.
Yeah, those are both tough.
Oh, and it's a London game.
Oh, those are fun though. I feel like sometimes players. I mean, if
you go with Darnold, you can start sweating fantasy as soon as you wake up. So I feel like Sam Darnold is the choice.
I like it, but yeah, I know Fields has been good, but I do agree with your second. I think the other two are better rest of season.
Yeah.
And like Justin said, he's getting Hawkinson back. Addison is back. Wheels up for Darnold, which is crazy. No more ghosts. He's doing well, which is exciting. Okay, Lee, Chuba Hubbard or CMC?
Yeah, I
Um,
think this was when we were like, if you can trade Javante for CMC.
oh,
I mean, if you can wait a week and get like one more Hubbard game or something,
right.
but I would do this.
Yeah, I mean, I think Hubbard. Yeah, I mean, Jonathan Brooks is looming, and Hubbard's been fine. He's been exactly what we thought he would be. I mean, he's a decent fill-in, but
It's like the risk reward here. So like, if CMC doesn't play for the rest of the season, you lost out on like a fringe RB2, RB3. If he does come back and he regains his role as like a top 3 option, you gave up a fringe RB2 3 for for the
right,
overall RB3. So
right.
I would do that, but
Yeah, I don't hate it.
I'm not saying you should waste your players, but
Right.
whatever.
All right, let's move on to Allende. Starting Brandon Ayuk this week. He is killing me.
Oh man. I'm still starting him, but yeah, I see.
I am too.
I understand.
I've been starting him as well, but he has not crossed into double digits in PPR this season. His best game was week 3. He had 9.80. So he is
He's still getting targets too. He got like 10 targets last week.
No, well, he got 10 targets in week 3. He got 5 this past week. So
yeah.
I mean, I feel like you can't. I guess it depends on the rest of your roster, but like Justin and I said, we're both still starting him, so we gotta hope this is the week.
I know you can yell at us next week when you score.
Well, it depends on the rest. Like, listen, it depends on the rest of your roster. I mean, if you have others that you confidently really will think will score more than him, then absolutely bench him. But if I wouldn't bench him for like Juwan Jennings. Well, I mean that's the same. I guess that's not a good example.
Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, or like I don't know, Jalen McMillan, who I think is hurt anyway. But all right, Mark Smith. Did we touch on Justin Ross? We did not.
No, I mean, what a S show.
Yeah, I mean, I think that situation, it's going to be, like we said, it's probably going to be Juju, even though we don't want it to be. It could be him. It could be any of them. I wouldn't pick up Justin Ross unless you're truly desperate. Like
he's been in this situation before though and hasn't done anything.
I think.
I mean, it's fine, but it's just a guy that I think you're going to add, never start, and then drop in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
so it depends on how. If you're in a super deep league, like go for it. But if you're in a 10-team league, don't even consider Justin Ross. And now he's going to score 3 touchdowns.
Narval. Oh, I like that.
Narval is good.
And I like Narval. Yeah, I like that too. All right, are we going to cut this off at some point, or you want to keep it?
Yeah, let's two more. How's
right.
2 more?
2 more looks good. Craigslist user 12. Which G do you like most rest of season? Saints, Packers, Broncos, Bears, Chargers.
I would probably
Bears.
I would say the man. All these people, all these teams are on your waiver wire. Not the Saints or the Chargers.
Or maybe they have 1 or 2, and then the rest are on there.
The middle 3 are the winners, I think. And I would lean toward the Packers because the Packers get Caleb Williams while the Bears get Jordan Love. So those matchups are always going to be the Packers. Yeah, maybe the Packers is my favorite here. The Broncos are great, but they do have a couple of difficult patches in their schedule.
I mean, they have the Chiefs, and they have some tough divisional game. Well, just the Chiefs. This is a tough divisional game.
Right. Justin Herbert hobbling around.
Yeah, and Minshew. I mean, yeah. Or / Aiden O'Connell.
Right, yeah.
/ option 3. I don't know what that would
Packers.
be.
Packers.
Yeah. All right, one more here. Do I trade DK and Rashad for Brees? Hall, 12-team, full PPR.
I'm here for moving on from Rashad White if you can. You're definitely getting an upgrade there. I'd hate to get rid of DK, but if you have a great wide receiver room to begin with, I think this is fine.
Yeah, that's a tough one because, like we said earlier, I think Braylon Allen is coming on, and I think Brees is not. I don't know if it's worth giving up 2 players for Brees, but like you said, I think moving on from Rashad is probably a good thing for your sanity.
Yeah.
There. For me, I take it or leave it. I wouldn't like smash accept, but I don't hate it, if that makes sense.
Yep. Yeah. I'm good. I'm good to cut it off. Sorry for anyone we didn't answer, but we got to go
Yeah, we
edit
yeah.
articles and
We
eat food.
yeah, yeah. But thank you all for joining us. We really
Yeah.
appreciate the questions. We appreciate you hanging out with us. We've got 4 streaming articles that are live right now on 4for4, one for each of the positions that we did mention. I had a stash article this morning, which I believe has 12 stash options for you coming up. There's also a ton of course, content on 4for4 throughout the week. Justin has an O-line article, which comes out, I believe, tomorrow. You'd think I know the exact schedule by heart, and I do, but I'm tired. And I don't feel like going through all of it, but you guys know. And you can also hit us both up on Twitter/X. He is Justin _Redwards. I am Jen Akins NFL. For Justin, myself, thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful week and hopefully win those matchups.